Remember this tragedy?
Hockey star Johnny Gaudreau and his younger brother Matthew killed by an alleged drunk driver Thursday night on the eve of their sister's wedding where they were set to be groomsmen. State police confirmed the siblings were bike riding in southern New Jersey when they were hit by an SUV. Sean Higgins is believed to have been the driver. The 43-year-old now charged with 2 counts of second-degree vehicular homicide. Police records say he admitted to drinking 5 to 6 beers before the accident and that he failed a field sobriety test. Higgins made an initial court appearance Friday where a judge ordered he be held until his next hearing.
We'll see you back in court on Thursday.
So I'm here until Thursday?
It was a story that rocked the sports world.
Others, they say, were out riding their bikes last night around 8:20 when there was a vehicle, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, behind a couple of other vehicles. The driver of that vehicle, 43-year-old male from Woodstown, New Jersey, tried to pass those vehicles and ended up striking the cyclists from behind. The driver is suspected of being under the influence of alcohol, has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of death by auto.
And left many asking why. Then just 2 days later, we would learn this.
At a Pennsylvania church, hundreds of friends, family, and teammates filled the pews for an emotional funeral service for Johnny and Matthew Guadreau.
To my babies, Daddy loves you all so much, and you have the best daddy in the world.
In this case, Dad is Johnny Hockey, the all-star wing for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who at 31 years old was a loving father to an almost 2-year-old daughter, 6-month-old son, and as his wife Meredith revealed at the eulogy, a 3rd child on the way.
I'm in my 9th week of pregnancy with our 3rd baby. A total surprise, but again, John was beaming and so excited.
Matthew Guadreau, who played hockey with his brother at Boston College and coached at their old high school, was also expecting his first child, Trip.
I'm so thankful God gave us a child, a little Maddie to run around for life to carry on his legacy.
43-year-old Sean M. Higgins would make a court appearance.
You're charged now with 2 counts of second-degree vehicular homicide. Do you understand that those are the charges to bring you before this court and those are the potential penalties that you face?
Yes, Your Honor.
At this time, we're going to excuse you from court today. We'll see you back in court on Thursday.
So I'm here until Thursday?
Yes, sir. Yeah, once the state files a motion for your pretrial detention, the statutes and court rules require me to hold you over for a minimum 72 hours before your hearing. Because we have a weekend and we have a Monday holiday, 72 hours becomes Thursday.
And recently,
the court has significant concerns in this case due to, it looks like, Mr. Higgins engaging in what I'll call almost road rage-like behavior. His operation was so impaired at that time that he didn't even see these 2 young men on their bikes driving safely on the roadway where they were being passed safely by other vehicles due to his aggressiveness, due to his impatience. I think he even used the word impatience. He struck these 2 vehicles. That gives the court serious concern as to whether Mr. Higgins can operate or can be on the roadway in any way, shape, or form in a motor vehicle. Clearly, there are issues here with regard to prior operation where he's experienced road rage. There's no charges for that, but it's in the statements. He even mentioned that, in the statement himself, his own admissions, that he has issues with impatience on the roadway. So because of that impatience on the roadway, it resulted in the death of 2 young men. There is no amount of monetary bail, non-monetary conditions, or combination thereof that I could put in place which would ensure the statutory goals. For those reasons, I am going to grant the state's motion to detain Mr. Higgins pending the further outcome of this case.
Higgins would make another, where he was denied bail. He would break down in court upon being told of this. The story the judge, whose name is Michael Silviano, shared is one everyone needs to hear. Firstly, at the time of the wreck that took Johnny and Matthew Guadreau's lives, Sean Higgins had a BAC of .087, which is above the legal limit. Prosecutors said Higgins encountered 2 drivers ahead of him who were slowing to pass the Guadreau brothers, who were riding their bikes on the shoulder of the street. Other drivers told the cops Higgins approached them at a high speed and was tailgating them before passing the first car on the left. Then, thinking the lead driver was trying to block his progress by slowing down, Higgins would attempt to pass that car on the passenger side when he struck Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau. They died at the scene because of Higgins, because of his recklessness. Jonathan Flynn, a prosecutor who was representing the state, brought into frame a conversation between Higgins and his wife, where the latter said over a prison telephone, and I quote, "I told you before not to do that stuff. You were probably driving like a nut, like I told you not to do." That's a damning quote, and feels like it was, in a way, foreshadowing. Because if she was warning him, it means that they had a conversation previously, if not a few. He would admit that he was drinking after he clocked out of work. He works from home because he had a conversation with a family member that made him, that left him displeased, we'll say. And he started drinking. He would have, I believe, about 5 to 6 beers that night that he drove his car into the Guadreaus. His attorney would try, and this is always what happens, his attorney would try and show a different side of Higgins. He would say, no, my client had knee surgery a week prior to the fatal wreck. And thus, when it came to his field sobriety test, which Higgins failed, he was bound to fail. Because of the surgery, he can hardly walk. He's still limping. Higgins is a United States Army veteran, and they say he is not a flight risk. Higgins faces up to 20 years in jail if he were to be convicted, per the judge presiding over the case, Judge Silviano. As many who followed the story are certainly aware, Johnny and Matthew Guadreau were killed the night before they were set to serve as groomsmen in the wedding of their younger sister. Her name is Katie. The wedding was canceled. From ESPN, according to the probable cause affidavit, Higgins told police that he had 5 or 6 beers, as I stated previously, before the crash, and had tried to go around the SUV on the right side after thinking the other vehicle was trying to block him from passing. He told police his drinking contributed to, quote, his impatience and reckless driving, and he failed the field sobriety test. As I also stated previously, that is according to the affidavit. When I learned this as a hockey fan and seeing his rise from representing the United States on the international level, competing and succeeding as an undersized, what honestly felt like 5'8", scrawny little kid, but then just balling out, playing his tail off for the Calgary Flames, signing that huge deal with Columbus, when many, myself included, thought he would go back home, thought he would play for the Devils, thought he would maybe even stay in the East Coast, play for the New York Islanders. And then to wake up and see that a man who has a nickname that is emblematic of the sport was killed along with his brother is utterly tragic. One of the Guadreaus would put in their eulogy, please do not drink and drive. Please. It is not hard to call a cab. It is not hard to call an Uber. It is not hard to call a Lyft. We have these apps on our phone. It is the push of a few buttons. Is it worth it? No. It is never worth it. And that is something that he is unfortunately going to have to live and think about for the rest of his life, including not just Higgins, but the Guadreaus, who lost not 1 but 2 family members. Johnny leaves behind 2 kids. Matthew leaves behind 1. It is saddening. It is enraging because it's so avoidable. That's what gets me. It's so avoidable. 2 buttons on your phone. You're home. You're mad? Go for a walk. Don't drink. And if you do drink, call a cab. He admitted to drinking while he was in the car, per reports. It's stunning. It's stunning, and it really gets to me. Because we have seen this so many times. Too many times. And I suppose the only question I have is, when will people learn? When will they learn? You want to blow some steam off? You want to have a drink? Do not get behind the wheel. Ever. Because it will lead to this. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.